Hi, welcome to another edition of Fleet Momentum video series brought to you by Automotive Fleet. I'm Fleet Group Editor Chris Brown. This series is designed to put a spotlight on key leaders, trends, and product offerings in the fleet management industry. This episode is sponsored by and produced in partnership with Solera. In this episode, I connect with Cyndi Brandt, VP of Product Marketing of Fleets for Solera. Cyndi and I will discuss how to employ new ways to tackle two of the most important issues facing fleets today, the worker shortage and nuclear verdicts. Okay, well, we're here today with Cyndi Brandt, VP of Product Marketing for Fleets at Solera. Cyndi, welcome.
Thank you very much, Chris. Glad to be here.
Okay, and actually, Solera, tell us briefly about the Solera universe.
Sure. Solera is a company that recently acquired both Omnitracs and eDriving, two companies that really specialize in, making the best of not only the last mile, but also over the road. It's a great new set of solutions to really solve a lot of fleet problems that are out there.
Okay, cool. Well, let's dive into it then. What are the two most important issues facing fleets today?
So we consistently hear from our customers about two things. One being the worker shortage and two, nuclear verdicts. So let's think about that worker shortage for just 1 second quickly. When we think about the last mile and kind of those lighter fleets, today we're short about 500,000 people, not only in the driving aspect, but also in the warehouse aspect. Very important for us. In the next 3 to 5 years, we're seeing that there could be a need for another 500,000 drivers and warehouse workers. Now let's add to that the CDL licenses that we need, which is another 250,000. So we're talking about trying to find 750,000 workers in the next 5 years to replace people that are leaving the workforce, but also for new jobs that we're creating. So the second one is really about nuclear verdicts. Amounts are climbing that are being awarded, as well as the sheer number of lawsuits. It's really becoming one of the largest challenges for all fleets as they travel more miles. If you think about awards alone, they actually grew 51%, the amount of those awards, which is much higher than any other inflationary cost.
Wow, yeah, and you combine that with the fact that safety on roads today and the incidences of crashes and on-road deaths, you make a really good point about those nuclear verdicts. How can companies protect themselves better?
I think first and foremost, they need to focus on crash avoidance. How do they not have that crash, right? They have to make sure that they have great safety protocols put in place, operational policies to reinforce those safety protocols. It's really, truly, truly the only way creating that safety culture that you can stay out of court and reduce those award sizes. But I'll also say that having a safety culture isn't enough. You also have to have tools that are going to identify risky behavior and and have the right tools for coaching to change that risky behavior. That's what's going to lead to that crash avoidance. From a pure straight up litigation, you have to make sure that you're at the baseline with the federal regulations, but that's not enough anymore. You have to exceed those regulations. You really have to create that culture that's going to differentiate you from other carriers. And if you can show that you've exceeded those basic regulations, that's really going to also play heavily into the juries and the folks listening to that case. But even more is just everybody should ask the question to themselves, what factors could have prevented that crash? Is it operational issues? Is it safety issues? Or is it training issues? Constantly ask when something happens, whether it's a large impactful crash or a small fender bender, what could we have changed to not be in that situation?
Sure. And, one of the biggest components in fleet right now has to be, video safety and video telematics. So let's talk about that. So what are the range of safety tools when it comes to video that exist today?
There's a huge range of tools that are available today. Everything from a dash cam to managed video-based services. And when you think about a dash cam, it's got some pros and cons. It's easy, it's quick to install, and it's inexpensive. But it's an SD card. So if I'm in an accident or something happens, I've got to go stop the recording right away, pull that SD card, and go through what could be hours worth of information to find out what happened, why did it happen. And furthermore, if you're in an accident and the camera goes flying, well, the SD card's probably gone flying as well, right? If you go to the next end of the spectrum, then we start to talk about video safety. And I call it video safety because it's got two components to it. It's going to have a camera that is recording and storing information, as well as a back office system. And that back office is going to allow us to match drivers and vehicles to different video safety devices. It's going to capture events based on a set of triggers, but it's probably going to record many events that the next day someone's manually going to have to go through and say, this is a bad event, or, oh, that's an okay event, because it might have been triggered simply by going over railroad tracks and created some video there. So it becomes a little bit harder to figure out which events do I choose and how do I do the coaching. The good news is they typically have some basic infrastructure within that backend to do the coaching. Now, the far end or the premium end is going to be a managed video-based safety system. That is going to add a much larger in-depth set of triggers that you can customize based on your business, your type of vehicle. It might be the size of the vehicle or the weight of the vehicle even. But it's more importantly, it's going to add a team of people that actually review the videos relative to the criteria that you've set so that you get 100% match for the most important videos to look at. So instead of having 25 or 30 videos to look at every morning, you might only have 5. And of course, that's going to scale depending on the size of your fleet as well. But the other big piece of that on the backbone are strong educational workflows, as well as very strong driver workflows. I'm sorry, not driver workflows, but rather it's going to have very strong driver coaching workflows. I want to be precise there. But it's going to categorize those videos, provide the workflows that you need, get you the coaching scenario and workflows that you need, as well as even potentially serve up educational videos on how to be a better driver to those folks.
Wow, yeah. I mean, we've certainly seen the evolution of video telematics from the days of recording on, on tape. It's come a long way, but what is the next big thing in video?
So I wouldn't say so much in video itself. Obviously, we've seen a lot of AI come into play with cameras being able to sense distracted driving, whether people are using a cell phone, looking away from the road, having something in their hands, texting, etc. But there's this concept of convergence. Vehicles are getting more complex. We're asking drivers, delivery, and service personnel to do more and more things. And the people that we're making deliveries or service calls for are also having more complex demands on information. So as vehicles get more sophisticated and as people ask for more, we're going to be putting more Internet of Things devices on vehicles. We need a way to amalgamate the data and send it back through a single data point, or a single hub, I should probably really say, because that's important now to folks to get that data. We're putting devices onto vehicles, obviously, to collect data, and you've got to get it back in near real time in order to utilize it correctly. So we're going to see convergence of those boxes, getting from multiple hubs to a single hub to transmit all that data.
Well, the technology is certainly getting better and it's lower cost. I mean, wouldn't you agree?
Oh, absolutely. I think the technology becomes more and more affordable. It's just like cell phones. You remember they were $3,000 when they first came out, and now they're sub $1,000. So it's a good thing for everybody.
Yeah, sure. Let's get back to recruiting efforts. I mean, there's the traditional way of doing things, but what are the new ways that folks, fleets are looking to recruit, especially in this time when getting workers is just so hard?
Well, I think first and foremost, we need to make supply chain jobs a first choice when graduating from high school. If you think about people that come into driving, it's often a second or third choice for them. We need to elevate the profession and have people say, I want to graduate from high school and I want to be a driver, or I want to be a mechanic, or I want to be, a warehouse worker, or even, warehouse automation and engineers. These are becoming more and more sophisticated job roles, and they need better skill sets in order to do that. But we have to elevate that role in that position. I'm super excited that we've recently formed a partnership with the Next Generation Trucking Association. And I know that they've got trucking in their name, Chris, but they're more about all supply chain jobs and not just trucking or truck driver jobs. They're looking to really get into the schools, into the communities, technical colleges, as well as private schools to launch educational training programs in the United States. They want to show people that there's a career path from starting with, if you start in the warehouse or start as a driver, we have to figure out how we elevate a lot of these roles. And again, if we can make a lot of our supply chain jobs the first choice for those that are graduating from high school and not going on to college, we already saw we've got a 750,000 person shortage that we have to make up for. The second key thing is technology. If you think about the generation entering the workforce, they were born the same year as an iPhone was. So they've grown up with a phone, a tablet, and a computer to get them through their everyday lives, whether we're talking about just being in school, doing your homework, or being successful, with everyday life skills. I think that companies need to start to embrace more technology in the cab because they're going to ask for it. And they're going to use that as a way to rank and rate jobs against each other. Who's giving me the best tools, the best technology tools to actually do my job?
Wow. Well, hey, Cyndi, listen, that's all the time we have for today, but thank you. These are some really important issues for fleets, and we've got some, new solutions on how to tackle them. So I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you. Have a great day.